And welcome back to the Financially Simple Experience. So friends, we've been looking at this idea of blind spots, specifically around the exit of our company. This became near and dear to me because of my recent transaction. And over the last 12 months, I've walked many business owners through this transactional process of transitioning their business from themselves to somebody else. And so as I've went through this personally, now for the sixth time. So 6 times you think I would learn everything through this process, but man, I learn something new every time. But as I've walked through this particular process yet again, and I've walked many business owners over the last year through this process, I once again see blind spots, things that I wish I knew, things that I try to hedge out from business owners who are walking through this process. You know, as a certified exit planning advisor, being able to look and deal with an exit plan that addresses the blind spots is my mission. It's hard to do. There's always things that pop up that you have to deal with in the moment. But I think if we prepare properly, we can help ourselves avoid many blind spots. So I've saved this particular episode because it's the one that most of us will deal with, and that is the blind spots around selling our business to an open market buyer, to a third party. Right? Selling our business to a third party. We've looked at this idea of selling our business to our family, selling our business to our key manager, but now comes about the idea of, okay, our family members don't want it, which is all too common. We don't have any employees or managers who are willing to take on the entrepreneur role, or financially or mentally, because that can be challenging, as we all know. But now we're faced with, I got to get out of my company, 80% of my net worth is tied up in this business. It's highly illiquid. I've got to get in a position to where I can retire. I can do something else. I can free my life up. I can spend more time with my wife and kids. I can travel the Caribbean on a boat, whatever it may be for you. We have this idea we've got to do something, or else we're going to be tied, a handcuff to our business, and we're going to be a statistic that unless we sell at the right time and position our business, we're never going to get the equity, the value that we poured our life into. So when we look at selling to an open market buyer, first thing we got to realize is it can be difficult. It can be difficult to find a buyer. According to bizbuysell.com, BizBuySell is a great little website that kind of walks you through, how to sell a business. I love reading their information there sometimes, but they have a statistic that says 58% of potential business buyers, people who are going to buy the business, believe the most challenging aspect of buying a business is finding the right one. 58%. Friends, that goes right in line with this best-in-class idea that I've harped on for probably now 400 episodes plus. I've harped on this, that if we can build a best-in-class business, if we can drive our multiple to the highest point on the bell curve, if we can keep our EBITDA or EBIT, whatever the revenue we're using, gross revenue, gross profit, whatever our industry looks at as the metric, if we can put that at best-in-class, closing the value gap, closing the profitability gap, closing the wealth gap, if we can do that, our business will stand out like a lighthouse. I grew up in South Georgia on the coast near St. Simon Sea Island, Georgia, and there's a lighthouse on on St. Simon's Island, right near the pier. And what it does is it spins. And all over coastal Georgia, you can see this beaming light, this huge bright light spinning around. I've been at sea many times with my dad fishing and friends fishing. We were miles offshore where you can't even see the land. And, typically you can see about 7-8 miles on the curvature of the ocean, so you see land within that distance. But if you get out even further, you may be 10 miles out, and you're able to now start recognizing that light even before you ever see land. You can see the light come across you in the sky and say, hey, the lighthouse is that way. And you can pinpoint exactly where harbor is or where land is. Almost like that analogy in the dark sea of business out here. If you build your business to where it has best-in-class values, best-in-class metrics, then just like that lighthouse, it'll shine as a beacon to those buyers who have a hard time finding the business they want to buy. Another statistic that surprised me was in Q2, quarter 2 of this year, 2022, we saw roughly 4,700 businesses sell, 4,754 businesses transacted in Q2 of 2022. However, it still hasn't caught up with pre-pandemic levels. So right now, if you go way back to Q2 of 2018, there were 2,705 businesses, small businesses, that transacted in Q2. We're about 400 businesses down even now. If you go into 2019 Q2, we're at 2,400 businesses. We still haven't reached that point. Now, whenever COVID hit in 2020, Q2 dropped significantly. The whole world shut down. There was only 1,400 businesses that transacted in that particular time period on the small business metrics. So if I look at that, I'm saying, you know what? There's a lot of businesses potentially out there for sale, and that means there's a lot of buyers who are looking for businesses. So it's difficult to find a buyer for your business. This is true. But the reality is there is a lot of buyers looking to buy a business. What's interesting is that selling a business on the open market, selling to a buyer presents you, the seller, with many, many, many unique advantages. But unless you plan to offset the blind spots, I want to talk through these blind spots with you. Unless you plan to these, then you may be putting yourself in a position where you fall in that statistic that about 96% of business owners are unhappy with the idea they sold their business after they sold. So the Exit Planning Institute did a study that showed that only 4% of business owners were truly satisfied after the fact of selling their business. Only 4%. That means 96% of business owners are unhappy. Why? Because they didn't address these blind spots that I want to walk you through. So now this is not an exhaustive list, but it's one that kind of hits the high points of my career, my training, things that I personally have experienced in my own transactions, and walking hundreds, if not thousands, of business owners through this process, up to this process, helping them understand the process, teaching around the process. So here's some blind spots that we need to be aware of if we're considering selling our business to a third party. The first one is that we have to deal with the financial side. Third-party sales, if I'm selling to a third party, it often has the highest value, the highest ceiling of all these strategies, of all the exit paths. In the past and in my books, I've wrote about how you could have a strategic buyer, somebody who sees your business as a must-have. They can bolt it onto their current offering and can accelerate their value. That's the highest possible purchase or sale that you can do. You can do that on the open market. However, if you're not careful, the big dollars will often catch you in the end. So let me kind of work through that. Typically business owners receive a fair amount of the purchase price at closing. That's common. You may get 50% of your purchase price at closing. You may get 30%, 60%, but there's always this little hook that we got to be aware of. This little hook that says, you know what, if your business doesn't perform properly over the next year, 2, 3, 4, 5, if you have retention issues of staff, if you have retention issues of customers, if your revenue numbers fall for whatever reason, then we're going to adjust your purchase price down. Earnouts, clawbacks, retention rates, things of that nature are very common when you're selling to a third party. So what often can happen if we're not careful is we will look at this high value of, man, I'm going to sell my business for X. Awesome. But yet in reality, by the time we walk through this whole process, it may not be X, it may be Y. So I literally had a client that I was trying to teach this to, and they were typical business owners. Sometimes we're a hard-headed group, myself included, and they weren't grasping it. And I finally said, look, yes, they're offering you $10 million for your business, roughly. The reality is you're probably only going to get 7. Well, why? Well, because the earnout says this, and the clawback feature says this, and your retention rates say this. And we started looking at everything. I said, so let's make our plan, our wealth gap strategy on the 7, or maybe even 6 to be safe. What they ultimately missed was the biggest blind spot. The blind spot is after you close your business, you may not receive the full purchase amount at closing. Therefore, you have a risk to the remaining balance that you believe is due. And the earn-out or a secured promissory note could significantly increase the risk of your final purchase price. So that's a blind spot that so many people don't get. On the open market, you'll see a high sell price, but let's be realistic. You're probably not going to get that high sell price. Another thing that we have to look at from a blind spot is the time investment. Oh my goodness, selling your business takes time. And if you're not careful, and I write about this in my first book, The Ultimate Sale, where we talk about a retake or a redeal, what will happen is that you will have projections with you at the helm and your business is accelerating, your business is growing. It is clicking along like a well-oiled machine. Now you divert your attention to this transaction. Now I'm going to sell my business. And as we divert our attention, something in the business breaks because we don't see it. Maybe we had a system that wasn't secured right. Something breaks in the system. What transacts in that particular movement is you put so much time in this transaction of selling your business that now something breaks, the buyers renegotiate, and you feel yourself stuck. I've been spending hundreds of hours trying to get my business for sale. I've already got sold. I've already pictured myself on the boat. I've already pictured myself on the beach. I've already pictured myself deer hunting on a regular basis, whatever it is for you, right? And this time investment that we don't consider has now locked us into a mental block, a blind spot, a mental thinking that it's all or nothing. I have to sell it, or if I'm just going to negotiate now against myself. Friends, this time investment is something that a coach can help you with. I had a coach walk me through this process, and I'm the guy who wrote the book. I'm the guy who received national awards as an exit planner. I write for national media outlets on exit planning, and I had to have a coach because of this time investment component. It's a blind spot that you got to be aware of. Another one that kind of goes without saying is taxes. Holy cow, when you sell a business, there are so many taxes that you have to consider. And this is where coming around to having your advisors with you, whether you're a C Corp, an S Corp, an LLC, taxes, a partnership, a sole prop, whatever it may be, a general prop, whatever the business structure is, they all have a myriad of tax landmines that you have to navigate. And you want to navigate these before the letter of intent is ever signed. You want to have your structures in place before the closing documents. There is a lot of structures, and so many business owners don't realize this blind spot can derail their hopes and dreams. Taxes. Friends, those are the three most popular that I see. But I promise I could sit here behind this microphone today and I could go on for probably hours of all the blind spots that we face as business owners when we potentially sell our business to an outside buyer. I have lived this. I have walked this vicariously through hundreds of clients, through hundreds of consulting engagements, through hundreds of speaking engagements. Literally, I've sat down with hundreds of people and vicariously walked them through this process. And I've seen the emotions, I've seen the thought patterns, and I've seen the results. I have to tell you, friends, exit planning is not for the faint of heart. Building value in our company to create a business that's worth selling is not for the faint of heart. It takes hard work. It takes somebody that you want to fire sometime as a coach saying, you don't get it. You want somebody who's pushing your buttons, causing you to be better, sharpening that iron edge. There's an old proverb that says, iron sharpens iron. It's like whenever I take my pocket knife out and I rub it across the diamond edge, it's just cutting away little bits at a time, but giving that knife a razor sharp edge. So much so you can shave the hair on your arms if you wanted to. That's the idea of value acceleration and exit planning. So friends, I've tried to do my best to simplify the blind spots of selling your business to a third party. A lot of work's needed here. If you need help, talk with a coach. If you don't have a coach, let us know. Check out Financially Simple. We have a group of qualified coaches who are certified in various measurements of business and can help you drive value or can help you build an exit plan. Friends, I realize this is hard. If you're in this process of building value, I know it's hard. If you're thinking about it, buckle up. As my dad used to say, buckle up, buttercup. It's fixing to get real. It's going to get tough. You need somebody on your side. This is hard, but it's fun. It's fun. We're so, like I said before, we're a tenacious lot. Us business owners, we are equipped for this. You need somebody in your corner. If you need help, reach out. Till next time, friends, y'all make it a great day.